Thank you,
Senator Xenophon.
thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Harfwit, welcome back. You wrote an opinion piece for The Australian on the 24th of... Sorry, I'll withdraw that. I just want to put on the record to thank you publicly for providing public interest public interest disclosure and protection to the person that wrote those emails that were the subject of the ABC's report, and by all accounts that he wasn't the person that actually leaked those emails, but thank you for doing that, and that's been provided to the committee. I think you did that. So I just genuinely want to say thank you for responding so promptly and so openly in relation to that. I think it's important to note that. In The Australian on the 24th of February, you wrote an opinion piece, which you're no doubt very familiar with. Can I just ask, you said in that there has been no change to operationally rostered air traffic control or aviation rescue firefighter roles. These roles have been deliberately and explicitly quarantined from the Accelerate program. For others, the risk assessment was carried out.
Senator, can I just correct you there? As part of the Accelerate program, you missed a little piece in there.
Yeah, as part of the...
He takes priority over my time.
I can read it out to you. I'm trying to save time because I've got a very... I'll read it to you.
It's an important point, Senator.
There has been no change to operationally rostered air traffic controller or aviation rescue firefighter roles as part of Accelerate, and these roles have been deliberately and explicitly quarantined from the program.
Correct.
For others, a risk assessment was carried out for every departing staff member to ensure there was no impact, in brackets, directly or indirectly, close brackets, on the safety of operations. Can you advise whether any licensed ATC received redundancy who are on operational roster?
Senator, this was discussed at our 1st of December meeting that we went through, and it goes to the question that Senator Sterl just asked before. There were 5 line managers that have been given redundancy, although they held air traffic control licences and could work on the roster, were not operationally rostered air traffic controllers.
Okay. Can you maybe want to take this notice? If it's been traversed earlier, I apologise. How many additional duty shifts and the cost of these shifts were rostered in SYTWR because of voluntary redundancies being offered to ATC line managers? Do you want to take that on notice?
I'll take that on notice, but that's in Sydney Tower. That's Sydney Tower. Yeah. And I'll also provide the comparison of what the normal overtime rate is in Sydney Tower compared to when those line managers actually left. Not because the fact is that, yes, there may have been shifts, but those shifts, the overtime rate in that tower would not have adjusted. Okay.
And again, and I appreciate that, how many jobs have been advertised either internally or externally since the redundancy program started in August 2016, and how much has been spent on external contractors to do the work of redundant staff?
No money has been paid because there has been no external contractors to do the work of redundant staff, and I made that quite explicit at the last estimates hearing, and it's contained in the Hansard. The number of jobs advertised, I can get the exact amount, but we did cover this on the 1st of December briefing, is in the order of just over 200. And as sort of in the opinion piece, this was about bringing in new capability that we didn't currently have, and those staff that were actually potentially surplus, that were declared potentially surplus, were also able to apply for those roles.
I'll just race through some of these issues but you do spend money on external contractors though, do you not?
Yeah, but just like most to supplement different skills at different times.
And has there been an increase in the money spent on external contractors, say, in the last 12 months?
I'll just ask...
I'm happy for that to be taken on notice.
Yeah, we should take
okay, just to get it, and where that has been spent.
Because the volume of activity that we're dealing with over time changes, so without wanting to get into the semantics of the question, I think it would be best to provide on notice.
Yeah, that's fine. Is there any shortage of track masters in the NOC, in the National Operations Centre, and as such, has there been any reduction in the ability of airlines to flight plan flex tracks, UPRs or other routes that maximise fuel efficiency?
Not to my knowledge, Senator, and the reason I'm saying that hasn't been raised as an issue.
Are you aware?
And the airlines haven't raised it with me either, so I'm not.
Right. Can I ask you to put this on notice, take this on notice? Are you aware whether any NOC line managers emailed industry advising them of restrictions on the above?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can
Take
take it on
notice. And if
notice.
it's the case, if you could provide further
Yes.
details of that. In terms of the salary and bonuses paid to you, Mr. Harfwit, and senior executives, can you tell us what they are, or through you, Mr. Logan? I don't mind.
What the amount is?
Yeah.
Can we take that on notice, Senator? I don't have that in front of me right now.
Okay. And are bonuses paid?
Bonuses can be paid at the discretion of the board based on meeting certain performance outcomes.
Can you tell us how those bonuses are determined?
But based on the criteria in, say, for example, my performance plan. And those criteria, they're set, and for example, mine, which I'm happy to table here, which I have before me, is a set of criteria which is really the meeting the corporate performance indicators in the corporate plan, as well as for this financial year, meeting One Sky objectives as well as Accelerate
Yeah,
program
we'll go to One
objectives.
Sky in a minute, but can you understand that some people feel uneasy, and this is not a personal reflection
Yeah.
on you, Mr. Harfield, feel uneasy that in a safety critical organisation, that bonuses maybe are appropriate in the context where the bonus may in some way be linked to saving money in parts of the organisation, which some would say could be related to staff reductions. And I know you...
Senator, is that of an obligation as the Chief Executive to manage the organisation in a financially responsible way. So having some sort of performance outcome on the financial performance of the organisation is normal, but with an organisation like ours and the safety criticality is also why nearly 30% of any bonus is all based around the safety outcomes of the organisation as well.
Okay.
So in other words, I have financial ones, I also have things about industry, also about staff engagement, productivity, as well as safety, and I'm happy to table my performance plan so that it's quite visible.
Could we get that through you, Chair, if we could have that document tabled, please?
Sure.
Thank you very much, Ms Harfield, for doing it.
That's it,
doing so.
Senator Xenophon?
No, it isn't. I need
Well,
another
can
3 or
I-
4 minutes.
All right,
I'll
I'm
race
just
through.
conscious that if we don't get AMSA up,
I know.
they'll get one of us in the car
Can-
park, I'm certain
Okay.
of it, right?
Can I...
I'm behind you.
I just need to race through. These are important issue. I will ask you to put some questions on notice about One Sky and the state of the contract, so they'll be answered on notice. I'm just concerned about time constraint. The report that appeared on the ABC on the 15th of February by the National Reporting Team Benjamin Sveen and National Technology Reporter Jake Sturmer made a number of allegations that referred to the author of the email that you provided public interest disclosure protection to. He said that there was, and the report makes reference to, there was a high level of anxiety within the leadership team and the risk and assurance team about this, but all of the issues and concerns were ignored by the change managers and executive. The Airservices executive said, this is an executive that was quoted in the story, an unnamed, not the author of the email. The organisation's risk system was not and still has not been used to assess or manage risk on an ongoing basis in relation to the changes or Accelerate program. Again, from this unnamed, referred to as an unnamed senior executive, you rejected those allegations as totally incorrect. The documents obtained by the ABC and FOI and the documents we've obtained through this estimates process make reference to, and I'll get to this very quickly, Chair, make reference to at page 96 of the Senate estimates, of this committee's estimates on 17th of October. You said that for each particular change we make a determination through what we call the safety case determination, and it goes on to talk about the safety plan. This was on the 17th of October, but it was on the 21st of October, 4 days after estimates, that there were a whole series of documents from Stephen Angus, the Executive General Manager, from Stephen Grundy, about a model risk assessment statement, the Corporate Services Target Operating Model, Change Risk Assessment, 21st of October, and from you, Mr. Logan, of the 21st of October, about the finance structure and capability assessment as well as other documents. So these documents seem to be signing off on a safety case 4 days after. Can you explain
Yes, I can, Senator.
the context? Because it sounds as if these seem to be
because
after the
there's
event.
confusion of the two phases of the
Right.
program. And I've got a document and timeline here, which I'm happy to table, which actually sets it out much more
Chair, through you,
succinctly.
if that document could be tabled.
Yes.
The thing is that on the 17th, on the October estimates, what we're talking about was the voluntary redundancy program. So we talked through and we moved through the voluntary redundancy program. The phase that these risk assessments are based on are the work that we did on the design and transition to the target operating model and the further team designs. In the initial questioning by Senator Stirl at estimates in October, he asked for a range of information, and that range of information, I said that we were still in the middle of the process and could not be supplied until the 24th of October. Senator Stirl further asked about the fact is, could I guarantee there would be no forced redundancies? What I'm getting at is that was a separate process which you've got those, and that process was not going to be completed to the 24th, and that's why those documents weren't signed to the 21st.
My final question, because of time constraints, and you may need to take this notice, but if you can answer briefly. Documents obtained by the ABC under FOI show 7 change risk assessments were not finalised until October 21st, well after the forced redundancies were already in full swing in 4 days.
Incorrect. There were no forced redundancies.
Okay,
as I
after
said, and I made
redundancies.
that at the last estimates, that that was the process
Sorry,
we were
I'll correct
going
that.
through, and
After-
that didn't get completed to the 24th.
Okay, after redundancies. Now, the ABC has been told, what I understand is that why were there voluntary redundancies in place or decided upon before deciding on a target operating model?
So the process that we went through, Senator, is that initially on we rationalised the organisation into its structure, which set out a new executive and downsized the executive from 10 to 6. Then we went through and then did the senior management layer, and then we did the management. Senator, it's important that I explain this.
Yeah.
Then on the 1st of July, we reappointed the entire organisation under the new management structure. Then we ran a voluntary redundancy program and then assessed every individual, and then we went through and then finalised the team designs at the very base layer of the organisation. So there had been work on the construct of the organisation all the way through, and all we finalised on the 24th of October were the final teams. So the reason we could do the voluntary redundancy program and then finalise and do the second phase is the order that we went in, and that's why we could do it. So no other was, so it is a very incorrect assumption that's used and was misreported, and that none of the assessments were done until the end, and why that occurred when there was a whole lot of assessments all done up.
Okay, I'll put some questions on notice. My final question, so you made the cuts before deciding what the team should look like?
No,
Is it
Senator,
looking-
we allowed some voluntary redundancies, and then we settled on things. So no one could get let go without an individual assessment to ensure that any person leaving the organisation would have any effect on the organisation, and they could not leave until, and so certain positions could not even leave the organisation until other processes or positions were put into place.
I might put some questions on notice. It's just that I'm under the hammer with the chair here. Aren't I, Chair?
Thank you, Thank you.
So too, you should suffer in my view.
I suffer every day here.
Look, we're obviously going to have more interaction with you guys over the next couple of months as we try and walk with you to get to the end of these changes that are occurring. So we want to thank you for your attendance, Mr. Harfield, and
Senator,
Mr.
just going to say at the end, same with the said at the 1st of December one, any time and any place, happy to answer
yeah,
your questions.
we probably need to lift the frequency because we're getting a lot of traffic, and
It's understandable.
you know, so we'll probably do that as a committee because I know it's writ large in our minds. So thank you for your attendance, and we wish you all the best on your journey to wherever it is you're going. Home, I expect, this time of night.